Let me ask you something. Have you ever been told you're too quiet? That you need to speak up more or put yourself out there? Here's something that might surprise you. Research shows that introverts don't actually have lower self-esteem than extroverts. In fact, when introverts are socially engaged in ways that work for them, their confidence levels are just as high, sometimes even higher. But here's the problem. Most of us introverts have been living by someone else's rulebook. We've been trying to build confidence the extroverted way. And it's exhausting, isn't it? Today, I'm going to show you how tiny, almost invisible daily choices can unlock a type of confidence that's uniquely yours. The kind that doesn't require you to become someone you're not. And I'll share the exact micro-decisions that research proves actually work for introverted brains. Stay with me, because I've got 4 things to share with you that will completely shift how you see your introversion. 1. The confidence myth. So let's talk about the elephant in the room. There's this huge myth floating around that introverts lack confidence. That if you're quiet, you must be insecure. That if you prefer listening over talking, there's something you need to fix. But here's what the research actually shows. Studies found that there are actually 2 types of introverts. Type A introverts, they're confident, self-sufficient, and can interact beautifully with people. Type B introverts struggle more with communication and have lower self-concept. But here's what most people miss. Being type A or type B isn't set in stone. It's not about your introversion. It's about the tiny daily habits you've built up over time. Think about it. When you feel drained after a social event and you don't give yourself time to recharge, what happens? You show up to the next thing already running on empty. You second-guess yourself. You overthink every word. And then people say, see, introverts aren't confident. But that's not introversion. That's just someone who hasn't learned to make decisions that protect their energy. The truth is, your quiet nature isn't a confidence problem. It's actually your secret weapon. But first, you need to understand what you're working with. And that brings me to something fascinating about how your brain actually works. 2. Your introverted superpower. Here's something that'll blow your mind. Research shows that information literally takes a longer route through your brain than it does for extroverts. Your brain processes things through more complex pathways. Now, most people think that's a disadvantage. But think about what that actually means. While everyone else is reacting quickly, you're processing deeply. While they're talking to think, you're thinking to talk. Your brain is literally designed for depth over speed. And this creates some incredible strengths that most introverts don't even realize they have. First, there's deep thinking. Studies show that introverts excel at focusing on tasks for extended periods without distraction. While others are jumping from one thing to another, you can go deep. You can see patterns. You can solve complex problems that require sustained concentration. Then there's listening. Not just hearing, actually listening. Research found that in one survey, 55% of clients said they'd be much more likely to hire someone who listened better. Introverts are naturally skilled at this because you're not just waiting for your turn to talk. You're actually absorbing information, reading between the lines, understanding what people aren't saying. And here's the thing that'll change how you see yourself. Introverts have a superpower called observation. While everyone else is talking and processing out loud, you're noticing things. You're picking up on body language, on subtle shifts in energy, on details others completely miss. But wait, if you have all these strengths, why doesn't it always feel that way? Because you're probably making micro decisions every single day that work against your nature instead of with it. You're trying to function like an extrovert, and it's slowly draining your confidence without you even realizing it. So what changes everything? It's understanding that confidence for introverts isn't built the same way. It's built through tiny, strategic choices that most people never think about. Speaking of tiny, strategic choices, I've actually created something to help you with this. It's a free 3-day workbook called Daily Micro Decisions for Introverted Overthinkers. Each day gives you simple, specific choices you can make to build your quiet confidence without burning out. The link is in the description below. Okay, let's talk about the moment everything clicks. The turning point. There's usually a moment when introverts realize something powerful, a turning point where everything shifts. For some people, it happens when they finally stop trying to match extroverts' energy and instead lean into their own strengths. For others, it's when they realize that their need for alone time isn't antisocial, it's strategic energy management. Here's what research tells us about this turning point. Studies found that when introverts engage socially in ways that align with their nature, like deep one-on-one conversations instead of big group events, or written communication instead of phone calls, their self-esteem actually increases significantly. Think about Warren Buffett. He spends 5 to 6 hours each day just reading. Not networking events, not constant meetings, reading. And his success speaks for itself. Or Tim Cook, Apple's CEO. He's known for taking very long pauses before he speaks. Not because he lacks confidence, but because he's an introvert who thinks before talking. The turning point isn't when you become more extroverted. It's when you start making micro-decisions that honor how your brain actually works. Let me give you some examples of tiny decisions that change everything. Instead of saying yes to every social invitation, you choose one meaningful hangout over 3 draining ones. That's a micro-decision. Instead of forcing yourself to make small talk at events, you look for one person to have a real conversation with. That's a micro-decision. Instead of carrying the emotional load alone, you share a small part of what you're feeling with someone you trust. That's a micro-decision. These aren't dramatic changes. They're small shifts in how you navigate your day. But over time, they completely reshape your confidence. Because here's what most people don't understand about habits. Research shows that between 40% and 95% of what we do daily is on autopilot. Your brain loves repeated actions because they require fewer decisions and save energy. So when you make tiny decisions consistently, decisions that work with your introverted nature instead of against it, you're literally building new neural pathways. You're training your brain to operate from a place of strength instead of constantly compensating for being too quiet. And this is where micro-habits become powerful. You're not trying to change who you are. You're just making smarter choices about how you spend your mental energy. Making it stick. The beautiful thing about micro-decisions is that they're so small your brain doesn't resist them. You're not trying to become a completely different person overnight. You're just making one tiny choice at a time. And research shows that habits need to be performed about 66 times before they become automatic. That's just 2 months of consistency. Think about that. 2 months of tiny choices, and you can completely rewire how you show up in the world. When you do this consistently, you stop feeling like you're constantly swimming upstream. You stop comparing yourself to extroverts and feeling like you're missing some essential quality. Instead, you start recognizing your quiet confidence, the kind that doesn't need to announce itself, the kind that shows up in how you listen deeply, think critically, and form genuine connections. You realize you don't need to be the loudest person in the room. You just need to be the most intentional about the choices you make every single day. So here's what we covered today. The myth that introverts lack confidence is just that, a myth. Your introversion isn't the problem. The problem is trying to build confidence using strategies designed for extroverts. Your brain is wired for deep thinking, focused work, careful listening, and keen observation. These aren't weaknesses to overcome. They're strengths to leverage. The turning point comes when you stop trying to change your nature and start making micro decisions that work with it. Tiny daily choices about how you spend your energy, who you spend time with, and how you show up in the world. And when you do this consistently, you unlock something powerful. A quiet confidence that doesn't need validation from others. A sense of self-assurance that comes from knowing you're operating in alignment with who you actually are. Remember, this isn't about becoming someone else. It's about becoming more fully yourself. If you haven't grabbed the free 3-day workbook yet, the link is in the description. It gives you simple reflection prompts, helps you identify the habits that drain your confidence, and gives you tiny daily choices that support the way your mind actually works. And if this video resonated with you, hit like and subscribe. I create content for introverts and overthinkers who want to build confidence without burning out. See you on the next video.